Hi Internet friends, this is Daniel Lakeland from Lakeland Applied Sciences. This is an introduction to how to use Julia for data analysis and scientific computing. We're going to go over a variety of topics, and they're going to basically cover how to just get started using Julia so that you have a baseline functioning system. Okay, so what I've got is a virtual machine that I installed using a Debian cloud image, and it's got just basic X Windows and nothing else. We're going to get a hold of VSCodium, which is the open source version of Microsoft VS Code that does not include Microsoft telemetry. We're going to install it on our Debian Linux system. We're going to get the Julia tar file to install the latest Julia. We're going to unpack it, make it available so that we can run it. We're going to get the Julia plugin for VSCodium, and then I'm going to run VSCodium and do some very basic calculations and make a plot. It's going to be all we do today, but once you've got that up and running, you're going to be ready to go. Okay, let's take a look. We've got our raw virtual machine that has basically nothing abnormal installed on it in any way, just out of the box raw. We've got a web browser. Okay, our web browser is already running on the VSCodium.com website. So let's go there, and you'll see what this thing is. It's basically a non-proprietary components of VS Code. I'm going to scroll down until I get to how to install on Debian, because that's what I'm running. There's installation procedures for pretty much every other operating system that you would care to use, including Windows, Mac, and 17 flavors of Linux. In order to do it on Debian, first we need to install the key that they use to sign the code so that you know that you're getting the official version. To do that, we'll just go ahead and paste that in. Done. So we've got the key. The next thing we do is we copy and paste this, which tells it to get packages from this location here, and only trust them if they're signed by that key. So we'll just copy and paste that in here. Done. And then we just need to go and apt update and apt install Codium. Copy that, paste it in here. That's going to take a little while, but not a super long time if you've got a fast connection. Done. Let's see if Codium runs. It does. Okay, so that's great. We've got Codium running. That's as simple as it can get. But we also need Julia. So let's go over here. Go to julialang.org. Okay, this is the place that Julia is distributed from. We're going to download the latest version. I'm running on an x86 generic Linux in 64-bit glibc. You would only ever use this on some embedded type systems or some other unusual things. So you're going to get the glibc, copy and save that in downloads. Go ahead. Okay, 131 megabytes. It's downloaded very fast on my connection. I'm going to just take a look at. There it is. Okay, I'm going to unpack it into my home directory. Tar X to extract it, V to do it verbosely, Z to uncompress it, and F to say which file I'm trying to uncompress. That's downloads, Julia, go for it. Okay, So I've now got it here in my home directory, Julia 1.8.1. Let's go ahead and add it to our path. So in this case, I'm going to edit my bash RC file. Find somewhere down in here, somewhere it's probably setting some path. No, it isn't. So we'll just do path is equal to /home /dlakeland Julia 1.8.1 and bin : $path. Basically appending it to the front of our path. Control O to write that out. Control X to get rid of it. I'm going to source it. It'll normally get sourced when you open a new terminal, but now I should be able to say path. Okay, so, and if I type Julia, it runs. Okay, so I've got Julia, I've got VSCodium, and the only thing I need now is to go ahead and go into Codium and click on these little blocks here to get the extension manager. And it's going to search in the marketplace for extensions. And I'm going to just say Julia. And this is the one you want, the Julia language support from Julia Lang organization. I'm going to go ahead and install it. Okay. Done. I'm also, because that's the kind of guy I am, I grew up on Emacs back in the day. I'm going to install the awesome Emacs key map. It'll just make my use of the editor easier for me. But if you like some other editor key maps, you can use those, or you can use the built-in default ones. Let's open a folder. So we've got these panels here. This is the Explorer for different files. This you can use for searching things. This is a Git source control panel. You know, we're going to want that installed at some point, but this is a brand new, fresh virtual machine and doesn't have any of that yet, but we'll get there. Since I haven't opened a folder before, I'm going to just go ahead and open a folder, and I'm going to create a new one, and I'm going to do testing Julia. So here I am. I'm opening this folder. Do I trust the authors? Since I'm the author, yes. And actually, I'm not going to trust everything in my parent folder because maybe I'll put somebody else's code there. But I'm going to trust the authors of this folder. Okay, so here I am in testing Julia. I'm going to get myself a new file, test.jl. Okay, and here I am in Julia. You can read about these things somewhere else, but here I am in Julia, and what I want to do is just demonstrate to you how to do plots, because at least you're going to learn two things. One is how to install a package in Julia, and the other is, you know, how to make a plot, which is probably pretty important for you. Okay, so we're going to go up to this little more actions. We're going to say Julia, activate this environment. All right, what is an environment in Julia? It's basically a directory in which you're working and in which there are two files which tell Julia what Julia packages are used for that project. So this environment that we're in by default, because we told it to activate, it's the testing Julia environment. So if I hit the right square brackets, you'll see that it says testing Julia, which tells me that I'm in that environment. And if I show, it'll say, not show, if I status, it'll say what packages are installed in this environment. Since this is the first time I'm using it at all, it just tells me it's an empty package. So I'm going to add plots. Actually, I'm going to add stats plots, which is plots plus extra plots. This is not the only plotting library available in Julia. It's one of the more popular ones, though, and it has multiple back ends. So it's got a Julia front end that has a Julian feel, and then it renders stuff using one of several back ends, including Plotly and GD and a few others. There is also a popular plotting package called, I think it's Makie. Sort of looks like Makie, and it's named after some sort of Japanese word, but it's all written in Julia, and it's very popular. It has some quite extravagant abilities. There's also the Gadfly, which is a 2D only sort of grammar of graphics style plotting library, which would be familiar to those who use ggplot2 in R. And then there's another library I can't remember the name of at the moment. But plots and stats plots is one of the more important ones. So this takes a little while for pre-compiling, and Julia is known for having some delays in certain sort of time to first plot or time to first action. But this, because we're starting from a brand new, nothing has ever been downloaded before, is going to be the longest that it will take. Most of the time this is going to be a lot faster. I'll demonstrate that later. So we've got plots installed, and here we are in our Julia REPL read, eval, print loop. So let's just do some basic stuff. First, we're going to need to be using stats plots and random, and then we're going to want to generate some random data. Let's get 100 random data points and 100 for the y, and then we'll just do plot x and y. Okay, so to get all this to run, I'm going to go up here, I'm going to select all this text, I'm going to hold down shift, hit enter, and it's basically going to send it down to the Julia process. This little indicator here is, you can click that to rerun it. It will also change to showing you the output. Okay, so everything you see here is going to be, like I said, the slowest that you'll ever see because it's the first time. But that took a while, and we plotted that. We don't like that because it's all lines, all connected. Let's take a look at a scatter plot of x and y. And again, I'm going to select this, shift enter, and you can see it was way faster. All right, so you can basically write your code up here, and you can select and run different portions of it, or you can actually go down here and you want to just debug something, try something out. You try something like scatter y versus x, and now you've got it, shifted around. So as you can see, we've basically done everything that we've talked about in our slides. We have installed VSCodium on Debian Linux. We've downloaded the Julia tar file. We've unpacked it and made it available in our path. Because it was in the path, VSCodium knew how to get a hold of it. We installed the Julia plugin. We do some very basic calculations and make a plot, including installing the package stats plots for plotting. All right, if you can get to this point, then you can move forward and start playing with Julia.